All right, folks. We all know that one of the most common mishaps in hunting is damage to your rifle scope. Last year, I found the solution to that problem with the Stealthy Hunter rifle cover. It wraps around your scope and actions securely to protect it from getting knocked off of zero or even severely damaged. Stealthy Hunter also has a glassing pad and a wide variety of supplements for the outdoorsman, such as protein powder, CBD products, turmeric, and gut health supplements. They also make a lightweight trauma kit weighing in at just 14 ounces that includes everything you need and nothing you don't for all of your backcountry medical emergencies. To shop all of their equipment and supplements, go to StealthyHunter.com and enter the discount code at checkout, The Northern Hunter, to save on your order today. All Stealthy Hunter equipment is proudly made in the USA.
You're listening to the Northern Hunter Podcast, home of all things hunting, fishing, and outdoors in Alaska. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. My name is James Payne.
I'm Dalton Gray.
I'm Mariah Humphreys.
And today we are going to, as promised, talk about the Alaskan draw tag system.
Or, as I call it, annual disappointment time.
Annual disappointment time. Yep. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to pick your hunt, the different methods you can use to select a draw tag application. There's several different ways you can do it. We'll talk a little bit about each, kind of what the draw system is, and get you ready.
Yeah, last but not least, we'll definitely cover about how to gripe about it on the Facebook forums if you don't get drawn. Because you can't forget how to do that.
And of course, you have to look your friends up and post pictures of their...
Oh, absolutely.
Before they even see their own results.
Before they know, yeah.
I think every year somebody posts Steve drawn results.
That poor guy.
But before we get into that, guys, if you like the show, please subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to if you haven't already. Give us a rating and a review. That is super important for getting this show out in front of other people. It's kind of the only thing that really pushes this to new people. Yeah. Social media has been pretty uncooperative. Meta platforms don't like hunting shows.
My personal profile got hit the other day.
Did it really?
Yeah. Didn't even say what, but after I posted one of those bullet pictures.
Yeah, they don't like it.
Yeah,
they don't like it at all. We got hit on a knife post. Wow. A picture of a knife got us.
It's a deadly weapon.
Yeah, apparently. So definitely, leave us a rating or a review. Share it with as many of your friends as you can, and then if you have any questions, you can always go to thenorthernhunter.com. We've got a nice contact button there that you can reach us through email. You can also hit us up on either one of those socials on the meta platforms. And if you'd like to support what we're doing here and help us grow and create more content, then you can visit the shop page while you're at our website. We got some merchandise there. We got some new designs we're excited to bring out. We've been talking about it for a little while. It's finally going to happen. And then we have our partners page there where a bunch of great companies have partnered with the show to provide us support and provide you guys with great equipment. It's all based around hunting, getting you out there, letting you have a little bit more success. So you go to the website or the show notes, then we have all of those links there with the discount codes for each one. And we appreciate all the support. If you use that discount code, it really helps us out. So you guys getting pretty hyped up for this draw season? Are your expectations pretty low?
Always low.
Always
gotta
low.
Keep them low.
Yep. Yeah, I plan my year around not drawing a single thing.
I have drawn a tag before, but
speeding ticket,
right? But it seems like it's just kind of my yearly donation fishing game.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
A couple $100, whatever.
Yeah, I think we've gone back and forth on the show a little bit about whether it really is random or not, because I know some people that just seem to get tags every year.
Oh, yeah. Everybody thinks that the state has a personal vendetta out against them, and the state's out to get me, and they don't want me to have a tag, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You hear it all.
So...
Well, one of the things we're going to talk about today is how to increase your odds.
Absolutely.
Ooh, foreshadowing.
There's several different ways you can do that. So we're going to get to all of them.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm seeing how many other podcasters I could name drop here.
Oh, jeez.
Stop.
I'm just joking.
Stop.
All right. So anybody in Alaska is probably fairly familiar with the draw system here. But for those of you that reside in other states listening to this show, the draw system in Alaska is more of I'd say a conservation effort than anything else. There's certain states in the lower 48 where almost everything's a draw.
Just due to the population.
Due to population of game versus people. They just can't
access
it. Yeah. Some places do a split. They'll do 50% sell. They'll sell the tags, 50% draw.
Yeah.
Changes state to state. Alaska kind of just views it as another tool in the box of conservation.
Yeah. Trophy management usually.
So it's trophy management for certain areas, especially if they're easily accessible with good genetics.
Yes.
And then just making sure, with the amount of people that not only live here and hunt, but travel up here to hunt from other places, that we're not shooting out all the good genetics from an area. We're not over harvesting. Alaska doesn't actually have limitations on the amount of tags that are given out for most animals for harvest tickets. There's no, a lot of other states, and I've heard people talk about how much should go to non-residents versus residents and blah, blah, blah. Alaska, you really can't do that because there is no, we'll give 80% to residents, 20% to non-residents, or 90-10 or 70-30, because, you can just go down to Fish and Game or Walmart or Sportsman's and get your moose tags, get your sheep tags, get everything. And everything basically runs on quotas.
Yes.
So if they were to give out a certain amount or we'll just call it unlimited amount of tags for some of these areas and rely on harvest quota to shut the hunt down, they might not get that. We see that with caribou all the time.
Right.
We saw that this year with the 40-mile hunt. They had quotas for each zone, and 2 of the zones far surpassed their quotas, while the other 2 really didn't, at least not in the early season. And so they had to shut down certain areas ahead of time, readjust, recount. So draws just kind of, mitigate that. It makes it so it's a limited amount of tags in a limited area and limited opportunity. They do account for success rate. If it's a hunt that is typically a 50% success or 30% success, they'll adjust it up or down to get the number of animals they want taken out of an area. But for the most part, the draw system here in Alaska is not like it is in other states. It's just certain areas. I mean, and as you're reading through any of these systems that you can use to research your draw before you apply, you'll find specific regions. Some of these draw tags are just between 2 rivers in this one valley. Or something that specific and that small of an area. To where they're just trying to protect that population.
Right. But they give everybody an equal chance at the hunt by putting it in a draw.
Yeah. Now, one big difference between Alaska's draw and other states' draws is we don't do any kind of points system here. There's no bonus points you can build up over the years. You can't really play that game in Alaska. It's supposedly, allegedly, a random draw.
Come on now. Be careful.
I just like
I
throwing it around.
There's just so much bantering about that.
There is. And most of what I say is in jest because of all the bantering. But yeah, so it's a great system, and it's something I think everybody should participate in. Like you said, I really don't plan on drawing anything.
Right.
It's something that if it does happen, it'll change the plans I already made for a better opportunity.
Right.
It'll get you out where you might not even be that far from the road system per se, or not all of these draw tags are out in the middle of nowhere, only accessible by Super Cub or Raft. It's like some of them are in very easily accessible areas, and that's why they're draw tags.
Yeah.
So, but you can be in an easily accessible area and not have a ton of people around you. Not be having a ton of competition, have 3 rams on a mountain and 15 hunters, all chasing those 3 rams.
Well, and what it also allows for is an extended season in a specific area of a broader, like, you have your typical 15-day season in Unit 20B, but there's other areas of Unit 20B, right, where where there's draw permits for muzzleloader or bow, and you might have 3 months right?
Well,
to hunt that spot,
and even
in the winter, right?
And even kind of in the opposite of that, it allows them to split up the hunters.
Mhm.
So some of these sheep hunts and whatnot, there'll be 3 or 4 different draw tags for a 2-week block here and a 2-week block right after that and a 2-week block right after that, where it just kind of thins out the competition a little bit. Sometimes it changes the access requirements. Maybe you draw this tag, you can go in there and with a 4-wheeler when you normally wouldn't be able to, or it changes the antler restrictions on the moose area, and any bull tag in a spike fork 50 for brow tine area. Or really it either loosens up the regulations for you or it allows you access to a spot you otherwise wouldn't.
Sure.
So, I know for me, I normally just put in for, what I think would be, I put in a couple that I think would be easiest for me to do if I was to draw the tag. That would kind of just be fun. I haven't, for the most part, tried to put in for like the really hard to get to ones. But a big thing to look at is obviously your odds. That's a huge thing to look at. We're going to talk a lot about that later on in this show. Before we get into that, we'll just break down some of the basics of putting in for the draw hunt. If you are in Alaska and you have access to a Fish and Game office or a Sportsman's Warehouse, anywhere that they'll have documentation from Fish and Game, you're going to be looking for the 2023-2024 Alaska Drawing Permit Hunt Supplement. That's what the document's called here. It's looks just like a news. So you'll run in and grab that. Make sure you don't accidentally grab the subsistence supplement. They look almost identical, just the draw one is a lot thicker. So, but the application period for these starts on November 1st. So by the time this comes out, it'll already be, you can already go in there and apply, and goes through till December 15th at 5 p.m. So if you work late, don't wait till the 15th to put in for your tags. Make sure you get in there and do it ahead of time.
Right.
Every year people complain because they just got busy. It is a month and a half, but it's very easy to get busy in a month and a half time and just forget about it, put it off, and just before you know it, it's December 15th. Draw results will be announced on the by the third Friday of February. As you put it, what was that, Heartbreak Day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Alaska National Disappointment Day.
I like the timing of this because it actually shows up right after my birthday on most years. And so I get to see if Alaska is going to give me anything for my birthday.
I usually take off that day from work to go home and cry. Dalton's Day of Sorrow is what my wife calls it. Dalton's Day of Sorrow. Yeah.
One thing to understand is that these hunts any hunt that you're applying for between this November and this December will take place in the year of 2024. Sorry. I lost my placement on there. So you're applying for the next coming year, right? Now there's a couple of interesting parts here. So Alaska does allow, there are specific youth hunting draw permits that you can apply for. So the age limit on that is anyone between the ages of 10 and 17, and they must be between those ages at the time that the hunt takes place. So when you're looking through the designation, if you're looking at the hunt numbers, those are similar to any hunt in the regulations book. They're going to be designated with a Y. That always stands for youth. And Alaska does allow for party tags for draw hunt permits. So if you and say a buddy want to both put in for this sheep area or this caribou hunt or a moose area, you can go in on a party tag. And what happens in that case is both hunters apply on the same application, and if they draw that, they will both receive permits. Now you have to make sure you're both eligible to go on the hunt. So if it's a resident-only hunt, you both have to be residents. If you're going to need a guide contract, which we'll talk about in a second, you need to make sure you have that. If, like, let's say one's a resident and one needs a guide contract, you got to make sure you have that set up in place before you draw that tag or apply for it.
Mm-hmm.
But that is an option if you're trying to hunt with a buddy. Let's see. If you are proxy hunting, it says here proxy hunting is for residents only. So if you're a non-resident and you can't make your hunt, there's no way to proxy it. You can proxy hunt for caribou hunts. You can proxy hunt for several different styles of moose hunt. For moose and caribou, though, antler destruction is required. The hunter's and the beneficiary's animal. So that is one thing to keep in mind if you're going to be proxy hunting, is you're not going to be getting a trophy animal. You have to cut the antlers.
So I realize we're talking about draw hunts, but
yes.
Is that also the case for harvest ticket?
I believe that is.
Okay.
I would have to obviously look into that a little bit deeper, but to my understanding, that is the general rule of thumb, regardless of what you're proxying, right? Even if it's just a standard harvest ticket. If you have a friend or a relative that's old and they're proxying their tag to you,
right?
My understanding is you have to destroy trophy value for that proxy tag. So, but we can always verify that later on. For our military listeners, if you think you might have a deployment coming up, or if you're with a group that might have random deployment dates and you're not sure if you're going to be in the state, the state has made a little avenue for you to go where it's this is all on the front page of this draw hunt supplement. If you go down towards the bottom right part, it talks about permit reissue for deployed military. So if you are up here, let's say you changed your residency, you're stationed in Alaska, and you're putting in for draw tags. If by chance you draw a moose tag, we'll just use a moose tag, and during the dates of that moose tag, you end up getting sent, overseas on deployment, TDY, whatever it might be, and you are forcibly removed from the state during the time of that hunt. There is an option here where you can contact the state and explain your situation and possibly get that permit reissued for the next year while you're in town, when you are on stateside. So don't use that fear to basically keep you from applying. If you think this is an opportunity you want to chase, feel free. I don't believe it says anything about there being a guarantee that it'll get reissued, but it is an option that's available. So just keep that in mind while you're doing that. Now, for our non-resident listeners, anybody in the lower 48, we'll start with non-resident citizens. Any hunt that requires you to have a guide in the state of Alaska, being brown bear / grizzly bear, Dall sheep, and mountain goat. If you are going to apply for any of those 3 draw tags, you have to not only research which tag you want, not only research which area you want and all of that jazz, right? You have to then find a guide in that area that can take you on that hunt were you to draw the tag, and get a preliminary contract signed saying that basically if you do get this tag, if you are successful in drawing this tag, this guide will take you on that hunt. Otherwise, they won't let you to put in for that tag. And all of this is checked before the draw actually takes place. So they're going through ahead of time, making sure that you entered all your information correctly, your hunt license, your driver's license, your name, your address, all that stuff. And if there's any problems with it, they will alert you of that before the actual drawing takes place. But for our non-Alaska resident, non-US residents, if you're trying to come from another country, keep in mind you have to have that that guide contract in place for any animal in the state. So there is no big game animal in the state of Alaska that a non-resident alien can hunt without a guide.
Right.
So keep that in mind when you're trying to apply for these. I know we've got some listeners out across the ocean. Even in Canada, if you're looking at coming over, you've got to have that guide contract set up ahead of time. So those are really the basics. There's a couple other things on the front of this page that'd be really good. There's a huge section that says read this before applying. Definitely recommend reading that before applying. The old school way of doing this is using this paper form.
Right.
And that's still the way I do it. I might try a couple of these other methods we're going to talk about later in this episode. This year, I'll play around with it, but for the most part, I've always used this supplement to determine which hunts I'm going to do. The way you do that is you basically have this piece of paper in front of you. On your laptop, you can go to Fish and Game's website. It says here you can locate, let's see if it gives the actual link here. That's hunt area maps. Locate your hunting license. Nope, I don't think but it's on, if you go to Fish and Game's website and just search for draw tags, you can do that.
Right.
So essentially when you're looking at this book or this paper, the first place I always go is the very, very back page. Just flip it upside down. That gives you the results from what happened last year. So how many people applied for which tag? How many tags were handed out?
Right.
And what your percentage chance of being drawn for that is. That's how it's laid out on the old school method. And you'll see that it's just 3 organized columns. That's all there is to it. So you're going to see the first column, the number of apps received. Second column, permits available. Third column, percentages. Don't be fooled by the high percentage ones. If it's 100% draw odds, there's a reason only 2 people put in for that tag. Right. It's either very hard to get to, very hard to get out of. It's not a hunt that most people are going to be able to do or interested in doing, I should say. Not to say you can't do it. You know, if you look, I mean, obviously look at every single one of these and, break it down, figure out what your capabilities are. If you have, if you're lucky enough to have a plane, you can go wherever you want. Or if you know a buddy that can fly you around, if you happen to know some people in a region of the state that you can get into, or you just have access to a certain spot, you might be able to kind of work those odds in your favor and get into a place that most people have very high level of difficulty getting into. But this is always a good spot to look at because there's a lot of them on this list that are less than 1% draw odds. Now, for some of them, I still put in every year, regardless of that, just because on that off chance that I'm that minus 1%.
There's some of those that you're pretty much guaranteed an animal.
Right. Yeah. You're either guaranteed an animal or you're guaranteed the experience of a lifetime. And, it's just, I don't mind donating some money to Fish and Game. I don't mind, it's not very much. I guess to touch on that, you get 6, I don't know what you'd call it, but tickets.
Yeah.
You get
per species.
Right. Per year. So, and you can either put all 6 of those applications on one hunt, or you can split them up, 1 on 6 different hunts or 3 on 2 different hunts, like however you want to split it up. But they're $5 each. Yeah. So, you just do the math on that, however much you want to apply for.
Up to $30 per species.
Right. Yeah. And so realistically, it's not a ton of money. It's enough that if you're wanting to put in for a bunch of different species, you might want to prioritize some certain things.
Yeah.
But for me, like if I'm going after, something a little bit lower odds, let's just say elk, elk has really low odds because you're fighting with everybody that wants to go. It's a limited animal here in Alaska.
Just to cut in on something that you were saying there.
Yeah.
Let's just take an example and say that you're the ultra lucky guy. Then you get 3 different sheep hunts that you want to put in for. And let's just throw, let's say, a Chugach tag, a Delta tag, and a Toke tag.
Yeah.
And you want to put in 2 applications per draw hunt opportunity for those 3 areas. And you say, well, I'd like to get one of those 3. When you apply for more than 1 different tag for a species, it will ask you in your checkout to prioritize.
Yes.
If you get picked, if you're just that lucky to get picked for more than one of those, they're not going to award you 2 great cheap tags.
Correct.
They're going to award you whichever one that you chose as a higher priority.
Right.
So you can say, well, I would prefer if I get more than one, I'd rather hunt the Chugach the most. But if I don't get it and I get Delta and Toke, then I'd rather hunt Toke more than Delta. You know, so you can prioritize that, you know, up to 6 different times you can have that scale worked out there just for preference if you happen to get more than one application.
Absolutely. Success. And I have known of people that did that.
Yeah.
You know, the way that the random draw works is when let's just say you have 5 tags that are available. Out of everybody that applies, the way it's been explained is it goes through the process of making sure that you put all your information in correctly, your hunting license, your guide contracts if that's needed, all your personal information. Once all that's been approved, you then go into the pool.
Yes.
And are assigned a random number, computer generated. And during the draw system, when it actually goes to draw, it just takes whatever the 5 lowest numbers are on that system. So, you know, realistically, I mean, it's just a computer generated number. Your odds are just as good next year as they were last year, as they will be in 5 years. And as long as, you know, there's you go for some of these that maybe have a lower application number, maybe a higher percentage, you just got to be able to play those odds. So for this setup, this old school setup, it's really not very complicated. You understand the basics. It's all explained on the front page there. You go to the back here, you look at what your odds are, what you're willing to gamble on with your $30. And then when you get into it, you know, when you get inside the book here, it's really pretty simple. You know, they break it down by species. So it just goes through the different species. It starts at the lowest number of hunt unit that tag is for, and it just goes until it gets to the highest one. So let's just look at brown bear here. You know, brown/grizzly bear starts off with game unit number 4 is the very top one on the list, and then unit 26B is the bottom one. It's pretty straightforward. It's easy to find. After that, you'll get your hunt number. That's your number that you would insert on the website when you're applying for these things. The number of permits that are given. So whether it's 3 in unit 4, 2 in a different part of unit 4, 20 up in unit 14, just varies depending on which hunt you're on. Then it breaks down your seasons. Okay, it breaks down when you can hunt from. And then after that is just additional remarks and information. This is where you're going to find those location specifics, you know, between this river, and this valley. You know, just that's where you're really going to find out a lot of information about what kind of access there is there. Normally, if it's an area that's restricted to motorized access, even with the draw tag, it'll tell you right there if it's a fly-in only area or if airplanes are restricted. There's actually parts of the state where airplanes can't fly. And you know, it's just everything you need to know extra will be right there. On the far left-hand column with game management unit/area, it has several different markers next to each hunt. So if you see a marker that's got 2 pieces of paper and a handshake right underneath it, that means it's likely a non-resident only tag. Not always, but likely. It should say that there as well, but that means you need to have that guide contract in place before applying for it.
Yes.
So that's a very important thing to look for. It'll also tell you whether the hunt's new, whether the hunt's old. So a lot of these newer hunts, you know, obviously there's no data. They have no idea how many people are going to apply for it. But realistically, I mean, once you get that little bit of information down for this older system here, just using the paper supplement and going to Fish and Game's website to do your application, that's really all there is to it. It's not super complicated. It's not very complex. And you know, obviously the details of selecting your hunt are going to be very specific to you and your access, your ability. If you're able to hike farther than the next guy, or you have some sort of access plan that they wouldn't have access to.
Yep.
Or most people wouldn't have access to, I should
Right.
say. That's going to change what you apply for. But there are a couple of different ways to go about getting your draw tags with more recent apps. So I didn't realize how long we've been going. So let's take a really quick break, and I'll let you guys jump in with those other sets.
All right, folks. We all know that one of the most common mishaps in hunting is damage to your rifle scope. Last year, I found the solution to that problem with the Stealthy Hunter rifle cover. It wraps around your scope and actions securely to protect it from getting knocked off of zero or even severely damaged. Stealthy Hunter also has a glassing pad and a wide variety of supplements for the outdoorsman, such as protein powder, CBD products, turmeric, and gut health supplements. They also make a lightweight trauma kit weighing in at just 14 ounces that includes everything you need and nothing you don't for all of your backcountry medical emergencies. To shop all of their equipment and supplements, go to StealthyHunter.com and enter the discount code at checkout, The Northern Hunter, to save on your order today. All Stealthy Hunter equipment is proudly made in the USA.
All right. So aside from these old school methods, one of the platforms that gives you great access is actually one of our favorite mapping systems. So why don't you tell us about that, Mo?
Alrighty. Well, so one of the great options now for draw hunts is these online draw hunt results or odds, right? And there's programs that they're usually websites that you can get online. You can click on an animal and click on a resident, non-resident, a little bit of information, and suddenly you have a whole bunch more data than is in that supplement, right?
Right.
Or is even accessible, say, off a Fishing Game's website on an immediate page, which makes it great. So I like to use Top Rut by OnX. It's my preferred platform because it gives me hunt unit, and it draw odds, the number of tags issued, the number of applicants, total number of entries, total quota, when the start date of the hunt is. It doesn't give you the start and end, which I think it gives you both, but it just gives you the start so you know what time of year it is, right?
Right, yeah.
It gives you the hunt code, right? The tag code.
Yep.
And it gives you the harvest success. And then, it gives you then a little bit more of a breakdown of the area, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going to talk about bison. There's no secrets about bison. Right?
Right.
Everybody applies. The best chance you have at a bison tag is 0.5%.
Wow.
I like that it actually shows you the sub 1%, because in this thing it just says less than 1%.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Doesn't tell you how much below 1%.
If you go for the Chitna hunt, you have a 0.2%.
Buddy.
For the copper?
No, so that's the Chitna hunt, the 11 and then part of 13D, the Copper River hunt specifically is the 0.5. That's actually your best chance.
Oh,
wow.
Man. And that's a hard area to get in.
Yeah, a lot of that's going to be snow machine access.
Snow machine or fly.
The most applied for is the Delta one. 40,000 entries. Those are resident entries, I believe.
Yeah.
Or that might that's so okay, so there's
40,000
resident applicants and then total applicable entries. So 11,000 residents, which means that almost 30,000 non-residents applying for those tags as well.
Yeah, even on this thing.
That's the Delta hunt.
Even on the paper version for 2022, 40,292 people applied for 120 tags.
Right.
0.3%.
And they're talking about lowering that this year because that herd down there had like a crazy winter die-off.
Yeah.
So
The Unit 11 Wrangell Mountains Chitna hunt, 2 tags, 1,245 applicants, 0.16% draw.
Right.
So Mo, when you're in there, so it's giving you all that information. Is that all on one page, basically?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I click on the top left of the page. It says Quick Nav, and you can go through all the states right here. But at the top is Alaska, bison, black bear, brown bear, etc. And then you can select residency status. There's an option by every tag to hit to save it. So you can pick a species and then show odds only for saved hunts. So if you're looking at like brown bear, moose, sheep, where there's a ton of hunts, you can actually save specific ones to go back and look at those
Can
later.
you come back to that every year?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
Yes, you could, to look at those
So
hunts
if you
every year.
found, let's say, an area that you knew you could get access to, you could just save that, not have to worry about sorting through all the rest of them every year.
You don't have to scroll through the list next year. You can
just
come
go
back
straight to yours
and just go straight to your saved
Oh, that's
hunts.
an awesome setup.
It's really sweet. You can organize the list by the unit number, by the odds, by the tag. You can organize it. All these things you can look at, you can organize the list by.
So if you go to moose, let's just say you're looking for a moose tag, you could say, all right, obviously I want a moose. I want to see the list from 100% success for draw down to 0.5, and it'll organize it.
Yes.
Set up that way.
It'll do that, and it'll also give you,
kidding.
you can also do that by harvest success. You can do it by hunt code. So if you're just looking specific hunt code number, instead of scrolling through the randomness because you organized by draw odds, you can organize by hunt code and just go by count.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
It gives you one more piece of information. It just gives you a little symbol, and that is like the terrain, and it's like for skiing, right? You got your double black diamond. Right, like the steepness of how bad the terrain is for that hunt. Yes.
When you are looking at Top Rut, when you scroll through the hunt details, like your units, and then it gives you your odds, your tags, your applicant numbers, things like that, does it, when you click on one particular one, does it give you that exact, like, let's just say for a brown bear hunt, DB 001.
Okay.
Like it is this tag.
The actual hunt number.
Yeah. Because that's what you're going to apply for in the application.
So
does it give you that number?
It gives you, I have that number on my list. I don't even have to click on anything. It's part of the list of, if I'm looking at bison, I can see all the hunt codes right in line with all the rest of the data.
Okay. So compared to GoHunt, which is the only one I'm really familiar with. So I selected Roosevelt elk, Alaska resident, and any percentage rifle permit only. It gives me all the different hunts. I click on the top one, Unit 3, Petersburg Wrangell, odd 8%, 50 tags, 627 applicants. I click on that. It says rifle permit, Edelin Island. It gives me the season length. It gives me the previous 5 years of odds, tags, and applicants. Hunt success, 0%. No kills in the last. Wow. That's terrible. Last year, nobody killed. Previous year, 9%. Previous year, 5%, 11%, 13%. So pretty low.
Pretty hard area.
But nowhere in there does it say the unit number. Well, okay, so it says unit number 3, but it does not say where. I'm sorry, it does not give you the actual hunt code to apply for. Nowhere.
So let's say you had that set up in one tab and the Fish and Game website in the other.
You'd have to go back and forth and compare data to match it up with that tag.
So
interesting.
So with Top Rut,
it does not show you.
With Top Rut, which is OnX's, I get, if I click on, so for instance, Alaska bison, Unit 20D, right? Now, it's not all of Unit 20D. Or, how the hunts work, right? The hunts aren't usually all of a unit. Some of them are, but most of them aren't. Like you said, they can be this valley, this portion of this valley between these two rivers.
Right.
They can be very small.
That tiny. Yeah.
Some of them, you'll look at them and the consecutive numbers follow a river or follow a valley, right? It's just like, we're going to give out 5 for this one, 30 for this one, and 20 for this one, right?
Yeah.
And so they split it up based on the percentages of moose or the difficulty of access in that
that's
area.
why it's so important to pay attention to these details, because don't want to get yourself in trouble.
One more thing on that, actually. If you're looking in the regs and you see a unit and and it says, DM, and it gives you like a list, like, let's just say from DM is moose, right? DM 001 through DM 003.
Right.
That does not mean all 3 of those draw tags are good for that entire unit. That just means each one of those applies to somewhere in that unit.
Right, correct. Yeah. It's within the boundaries of that unit or subunit, and then
there's more boundaries that each one of those hunts fills in. They're just saying, hey, check these hunts out if you're interested in this unit.
Right.
Okay. Now that aside, with Top Rut, when I click on when I'm in the list of hunts, bison hunts, right? I click on unit 20D. it's for whatever reason it's on the unit, not the hunt code itself. But I click on 20D, it takes me to the hunt page specific to that hunt. It takes me to the map area. It doesn't show me specifically what the hunt limitations are. It just shows me where approximately, like, it shows me 20D on the map. It tells me, how much within 20D BLM owns, the state owns, all that, right?
Gotcha.
But you scroll down and it gives me specific data for the hunt, DL 403. It gives me the last 3 years percentage of chance to draw, the last 3 years quota, the last 3 years entries, and the last 3 years harvest success, all specifically for that hunt. When I click on it, all listed with the DL 403.
So that's a huge shortcoming of the GoHunt draw odds in my opinion.
I didn't realize theirs didn't have that.
Yeah, that's not good.
So the next thing I like to do when I've got this information, right, I'll look at, we're talking about bison, so this isn't really applicable, but I'm looking at draw odds, right? I'll keep an eye on the draw odds, but I keep a bigger eye on the harvest success personally. I'm going to be more prone to put in for harvest success where I can access. It may be a hard hunt to get. There might be 2 tags given out. But if I draw a hunt, I want to be guaranteed that I can go actually try to kill an animal.
Right.
There's hunts I'm really interested in that I have a really high chance of drawing. And if I got there, I have a really high chance of killing that animal. But my chances of getting there if I draw the tag, I'm going to start calling people with boats, right? Or planes and be like, hey, can I jump in on your hunt because I got this tag? Right. I don't want to do that.
Right.
Unless I have a plan for how I can complete that hunt, I'm not going to put in for it.
Yeah.
So, I'll look at a harvest success and draw odds and try to, just take a split and a balance. And then, now it doesn't tell me specifically where the hunt boundaries are. It'd be sweet if it did, but it doesn't get to that yet.
So I have something for that.
What's that?
So if you go to Fish and Game's website. Hold on.
I'm going there. I'm going to that spot. I'm going to say what you're going to say, but better.
Oh, better than me?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
All you do is you take that hunt code, you paste it into Google. The first link that will come up is the maps for those hunts.
Well, that's not better than I was going to say it.
All right. Well, what were you going to say?
All right. So while you're comparing these two, if you want the map of how to get to this place, you just go to Fish and Game's website. If you go to the home page, there's a maps tab in the menu. You go there. All you got to do is hit hunting maps. And then same thing. You just copy paste your hunt number right into there. And it'll bring up a nice map with all of the red, with a red border and boundary around, even if it's not the entire unit. So you'll get the map of the whole subunit and the little boundary around where that hunt takes place.
Now, if you click on that picture and then click on the PDF link, you'll get a much higher res version of that.
Yeah, you will.
The reason I like to paste into Google is it saves me steps. I can open multiple tabs and quickly paste into Google in each tab and compare tabs instead of having to go to Fish and Game's website in each tab first. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It reduces a step. Now, once in a while, a hunt doesn't come up as the first thing on Google because it's some weird code for some form or something, right? So you just put hunt.
Okay, yeah.
DL 403, hunt, and boom, it's the first thing. That's the reason I like to do that, because it takes you to that page.
Yeah.
Or Alaska, right?
Yeah.
Hunt's the easy one to do. I like my way better, but
I always found it just easier to go to the website. But you know what? We give people options, right?
Right.
Give them options.
I'm going to throw a curveball. I don't like using the paper supplement a whole lot. I still do use it, but the laptop is the easiest thing to do for me.
Yeah.
But I don't like the GoHunt lack of information for the hunt number.
Gotcha.
Right. Now, that's not to say that it's not there at some point. Like if you go through the actual application process, I would assume that you could probably put in through the GoHunt thing. Is that a thing?
No, I don't believe it is. You put in through Fish and Game's website.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. The advent of the OnX annexing, what is it called that you're on right now?
Top Rut.
Top Rut. the deal of GoHunt really kind of spurring the whole industry to go that route, because GoHunt was kind of the OG when it came to draw odds.
They were the first ones I ever heard about.
You know, filtering 2.0 and hunt planners, things like that. That came about as a result of people not having a centralized base of information.
Right.
And guys having to go, all right, I live in Utah. I'm not just going to apply for a Utah mule deer tag.
Right.
I'm going to put in for Utah. I'm going to put in for Wyoming. I'm going to put in for New Mexico. I'm going to put in for Arizona, and the list goes on.
Without having to navigate.
Without having to go to every different fish and game website and try to figure out if they have their own odds. And then you compare back and forth, back and forth. So the GoHunt system and their draw odds system and the hunt planners and the filtering 2.0 and all of that was designed as a home base where you could see from one website all that information centralized to one database. For Alaska, you don't need that.
Yeah.
Because you're not applying for stuff in Alaska that you might get somewhere else. You can't apply for a Yukon moose in the low 48. You know, my favorite way to do it is to go to the Alaska Fish and Game website. And you guys both already kind of alluded to this, but just opening a bunch of different tabs.
Yeah.
So what I do, if you go to Alaska Department of Fish and Game website, click on hunting, click on general information, and then click on the left bar, there will be kind of a vertical column, and then click on Alaska's game species. And then every species that you can hunt in Alaska, you click on that. Let's say click on elk. That'll open up a page. Okay. Life history, hunt opportunities, harvest statistics, harvest reporting, contact, and more resources. They have a range map of where elk are located generically. So then I go into harvest statistics on that little marker. You can select different years going back in history. Like for elk, I'm looking from 2022. It was the most recent data all the way back to 2012. And then you can select registration, drawing, tier 2, or general season, and then submit. And then you have, like I have, elk registration hunt statistics. There are 2 registration elk hunts. Then you have the hunt number right there. And then to the right, you have number of permits, number of hunters, male, female, total harvest, and percent success. That doesn't give you draw odds. So you can go through GoHunt for your draw odds if they have it. And they don't have draw odds for every species in Alaska.
Yeah.
They're pretty lacking on that. Now, I don't know why that is. And I don't know if Top Rut is better. It sounds like it might be.
It sounds like there's a few more options.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if something like what GoHunt setup is maybe more aimed at the strategy of like
it definitely
with
could
be. These states that do the bonus points and things like that. Maybe it's more aimed at that. And since,
I'm sure it is.
Since Alaska doesn't do any of that, it's kind of like
yeah. So what I like to do is I'll go into whatever animal I want to try to put in for. I'll go to the drawing odds and hunt statistics. I'll click submit in the Fish and Game website. I'll scroll through, look at the number of permits given, look at the number of hunters, male, female, harvest total, and percent success. And then I will go into the draw success numbers in GoHunt.
Yeah.
So I'll look at, okay, number of permits, let's just say for the top one on the elk is DE318. Number of permits given is 25. So if you go back into GoHunt, you can look at that DE318 tag and see how many applicants there were to get 25 tags. So the Fish and Game website is lacking that information in that particular column, but I like that it's got the hunt number, the permits, the harvest success, male and female broken up, and then the percent of success of the harvest on the hunt. That way I've got the hunt number right there. And then I do what you guys are talking about. I'll copy and paste that into a new tab, go look at the hunt map for that hunt number outline of that area. And then I'll decide, like Mariah said, all right, can I fly there or can I boat there? Or is this a road hunt? Is there a trail there? Is it a motorized hunt? Is it a non-motorized hunt? And you can kind of go through your logistics because there are a lot of people that put in for some of these tags.
Oh, yeah. An insane amount. Some of them.
Yeah. And there are a surprising number of these tags where you'll see a really hard to get permit. Say they give out 10 tags for it. 1,500 people apply.
Yeah.
Okay. Of those 1,500 people that apply, if 100 of them get drawn, 25 of them actually go.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're looking at a very, very low percentage of people that actually participate in some of these hunts. Not all of them. Some of them, they give out 2 tags, 2 folks applied. Now you see that a lot on the Kodiak stuff because a lot of those Kodiak federal bear units are draw only.
Yeah.
And you see that with the non-resident applications because they all have to go through an outfitter. So they only give out 2 non-resident tags. Well, guess what? There is only 1 outfitter per federal unit that is licensed for that subunit. So anybody who wants to apply for that tag as a non-resident has to book through that outfitter. So they're guaranteed to draw, right? Now you have residents that can put in for that tag. So that might go up a little bit there. But a lot of those areas where there's outfitter required for non-residents, there'll be 2 tags given, 2 applicants, 100%.
Right.
So that you can't be skewed by that. Keep that in mind. A lot of those brown bear odds are for Unit 8 for Kodiak Shelikoff in the GoHunt. It'll tell you that without the hunt number, obviously. But you'll see that a lot of those odds seem to be a lot higher. That's why. Yeah. Because they're booking a hunt contract ahead of time, which then gets proven to the state that, hey, I'm booking a hunt through this guide. He has this unit. And so then they get the tag. That's not the case in most of them. And there are a lot of areas, like for this elk hunt I'm seeing, there's a lot of permits given out in some of these units, relatively speaking. Some of them, there's 120 permits for DE 713 and only 40 guys hunted.
Yeah.
No bulls were shot. 18 cows were shot. So I don't know if that's just a cow hunt or if guys just shot a bunch of cows. That'd be good information to know. There's another one, DE 323, 50 permits given, 20 hunters, no elk shot.
Wow.
None. So you wonder, just how tough is this spot?
Right. Yeah, it kind of gives you a little insight to
how did they get there? Did they all take boats and they should have flown?
Yeah.
Or did they all fly and they should have taken boats? So and a lot of that area is logistically challenging.
Yeah.
And it's managed. Well, like you alluded to earlier on in the episode, Alaska doesn't, well, there are some species where it's the case, like some of the muskox hunts or some of the bison hunts where we don't have thousands of animals to just shoot. That's why they're not registration permits. Number one, it's an avenue of revenue for the state to make a little bit more money on these tags applications, which I'm happy to pay for, by the way. But the other thing is,
you got to think about how much money they make just off that bison hunt.
Sure. Sure. Exactly. Yeah. 40,000 applicants at $5 a piece.
Right.
Yeah. And that's if they only put in once a piece.
Yeah.
Some of those guys might have put in 6 times each. And I guess that'd be a good question. Is that the total number of applications?
Probably so.
I would think it's,
I believe it is.
Okay. So
like you would count for 6 if you put all 6.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I would assume that would make the most sense.
Probably. But you need to make sure that you do your homework ahead of time so that you're not drawing a hunt and you think, man, I got a really good chance of getting this hunt. And then you draw it and you figure out, oh man, I can't afford a $7,000 air taxi to Kodiak.
Right.
Or between commercial flights and then transport flights and then an extra flight for meat when you get home with an elk.
Right.
It adds up fast.
Right. Can you afford, so you can afford to fly to Fairbanks, but then can you afford to rent a truck?
Yeah.
To drive down the highway? To pay for that truck because you're going to park it for a week to hike into the mountains.
And then to pay 60-inch Club to rent a gear rental raft.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right.
Whoa. That just happened. Use your discount code, the Northern Hunter, at 60-inch Club.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pick it up what I'm putting down.
There you go.
Really nice. Anyway, so yeah, that's just how I do it.
Yeah.
I like going through the State of Alaska's website for the Fish and Game supplement there online. It's easier for me to just open a bunch of different tabs.
Well, and the PDF can be a lot easier to read when you're just going back and forth and jumping between pages.
Yep.
I like the paper one simply because I like to write on it.
Yep. That's what my dad still does.
I got notes
Circles
all over it.
Yep.
Circles. Yeah, just all kinds of stuff. And
The old people.
it's
It's funny I say that because like at work, I like once in a while I make notes on my phone, but more often than not, I take a piece of paper and I fold it up and I just start writing on the paper.
You know,
that's the best way to do it, man.
It's kind of a nostalgic thing, and we're going to do this year. We're going to have a Northern Hunter cookout at my house. You guys didn't know this yet, but you're invited. My wife's going to hear this too and say, okay, that's news to me. But yeah, we're going to get together at my place and have a draw application party.
Oh, there we go.
And we'll have the paper ones out. Now, I'm sure we'll all have already picked out our draw applications.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll go through and circle them just for fun and then talk about it and not record a podcast and just enjoy dinner. I've got moose tongue that we're going to fire.
Well, I'm sure we'll compare what we're drawing for and all that kind of nonsense.
Course, yeah.
And I've got a tenderloin too, so
nice.
You better show up.
Nice.
Anyway, so yeah, that's just my 2 cents on how I do it. You know, everybody has a different way of doing it.
Yeah.
The paper works, but
on the Top Rut thing, one more thing I wanted to mention about that was you get terrain type, which is, you know, cool, right? And it's like it's like a ski hill. You got diamond, black diamond.
I'm gonna have to check Top Rut out.
Black diamond, double black diamonds. You got your blue square. You got your green dot. Whatever. That's probably not how you're supposed to say those, but anyhow. And so but that gives you an idea of what the terrain is like.
Question: okay. What level of OnX membership do you have to use Top Rut?
Elite.
Okay, so I can use it then.
Well, I think Elite's the top membership.
Yeah, I've got the Elite membership. And to use the GoHunt draw odds and filtering and hunt planner, you have to have the GoHunt Insider membership.
Okay.
Which is about $150 a year.
Is that their top tier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About $150 a year.
So last year, just over a year ago, I had gotten both top GoHunt and OnX, and I had the top one with both.
Yeah.
And I went through the benefits each gave me and used the mapping systems. And I've been using OnX longer than almost anybody else I know that uses it, right? Like I introduced it a lot of people to it early on when I started using it.
Nerd.
Right? Hey.
You showed it to me.
Exactly.
I owe you that.
Yeah. And my dad. And
it's still my go-to map unless I can get good detail on Spartan Forge.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I hardly ever use GoHunt anymore.
No, I haven't used it in about a year now.
And I don't really want to pay for all those mapping systems, right?
Right.
But I went through like the draw odds on GoHunt and OnX. And OnX, just at least for Alaska, it's laid out clearer and better in the amount of information I want to see. The other information it gives you is there's a little symbol, R for rifle, B for bow, and
good.
Disabled veteran, depending on what the hunt is. There's a little code.
Yeah.
Muzzleloader, like for moose hunting, I'm looking at here.
The GoHunt one.
The moose hunting, there's a lot of different stuff like that. Most of the other hunts don't have
a lot more
much
specifics.
But, there's a muzzleloader hunt, there's an archery hunt, there's a rifle hunt.
Here's some trivia for you guys. Okay. Are there any shotgun specific seasons for big game hunting in Alaska?
I believe
True or false?
So, but I don't know which ones. But I want to say I saw one.
False?
It's true.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it deer?
No, moose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's down on like the
Kenai
that's not
Peninsula
listed somewhere. It's down
they
on
don't have
the
a
Kenai
shotgun
Peninsula
code,
somewhere.
Okay.
I'm going to see if GoHunt shows it. Yeah, I'll
is
see
it,
if I can
well,
find
this is
it.
draw. This is a draw hunt. Is that a draw hunt you're talking about? Or is
I don't know. I just know that I'm going to look on GoHunt on the resident.
Shotgun? Is that like a?
I was going to say I couldn't remember what it was, but I thought I remembered.
Is that like
past
in
it.
Ohio,
okay? So
straight wall
here we go.
cartridge
Here we go. Draw odds, resident, moose, all seasons, and then you scroll down: archery permit, muzzleloader permit, rifle permit, short range weapon permit. Right here. Nope, that's the Fairbanks management area for bows. Maybe it's not there anymore. I'm going to Google it, but I know at least at one point there was a shotgun only because a good friend of ours that you know too, I'll tell you his name off the air, had drawn it a couple of times and shot a moose with a slug gun with a 12 gauge.
Nice.
Seems like a fun way to do it.
Yeah,
because it was close to a town,
right?
And it was close to a lot of areas, and nobody was killing them with bows, and so they dealt them out with shotgun slugs.
That's awesome. So real quickly, for the people that are going to be needing these guide contracts before applying.
Mm.
You know much about setting that up? They just where they can find information about what guides in what area if they're looking at a specific hunt.
Well, that's complicated. So what you can do, okay, I don't see anything on Google here about the shotgun hunt. So maybe that got discontinued.
We might
Yeah,
have
it could
to.
have been.
We might have to like find that later. Like just
I'm going to have to revisit
carefully
that
scroll
because
through the regs or something.
I know that used to be there. It used to be.
Sounds like an intro subject for the next one.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, yeah.
Or hey, if anybody knows what it is, let us know, please.
Yeah. And it could have been that it was shotgun or bow or something, but it was included as one of the allowed methods, but it wasn't a normal centerfire rifle cartridge hunt. Anyway, and that was a long time ago that guy did that. He was moose hunting in that camp with you and us this year earlier.
Oh.
The older guy.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
You didn't even have to say that part. Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, so you have to contract to hunt through a registered guide outfitter,
right?
Who has guide use areas. Let's just say that the easiest thing to do, the easiest example is going to be Kodiak, because there's so much federal land on Kodiak,
right?
And they don't give out permits overlapping those guide use areas. It's usually just one guide has that area, to my understanding. And I'm not an outfitter. I don't contract hunts. That's out of my capacity. That's not what I'm doing right now. I'm basically a subcontractor guide. So for Kodiak, if you're looking to do a brown bear hunt, then you would look at what tag you wanted to apply for, what unit you wanted to hunt. Say that you wanted to hunt, let's just throw one out, Fraser Lake.
Okay.
On Kodiak. It's a well-known spot. A lot of big bears in there. So what I would do is Google Fraser Lake brown bear hunting outfit.
Yeah.
And whoever has that concession is going to be advertising for it online. And so you'll find that, and then you can contact that outfitter and just verify, hey, are you the outfitter that operates in Fraser Lake? Is there anybody else that does? And just verify that. And then you can go through it that way and say, well, I want to apply. I want to book a hunt. They might say, well, look, dude, I've got a waiting list of 4 years.
Right.
I've got, 4 years of guys that want to apply, and they take first priority, and they've been waiting to draw this tag.
Right.
So you can do it that way. You can also go through the state's files at in some different ways. There's a few ways to look that up for guides and guide use areas, and who is registered for what subunits, and then who is registered for what guide use areas. And OnX does show guide use area boundary markers.
Right, they have that layer, yeah.
Yeah, but unless you're pretty familiar with the guide use area program in Alaska, that's going to be more confusing than helpful for most of the non-res guys. So probably the best thing to do would be call the local Fish and Game.
Yeah.
If you are looking to hunt sheep in the Chugach Mountains, call Fish and Game in Anchorage and see if you can talk to the local sheep biologist and say, I want to hunt rams in this area. Who's outfitting in there? They can look that up.
Right.
And then they can tell you who's licensed for that area, because there's probably a lot more overlap there. There might be 4 or 5 or 10 different outfitters registered for that spot. And they can all sign a hunt contract for you and get you set up to apply for that unit. Again, there's going to be a waiting period.
Well, and that's a good bit of information to know ahead of time when you're doing your research.
Yeah.
Looking into which hunt you want to apply for, because if there's a 4 or 5 year waiting period of guys that are applying and competing with you.
Hunt somewhere else.
Yeah. Might not be your best odds to apply for that one this year.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's how I would go about it. And that's how most of the clients that I know that have drawn permits that have hunted with me go that route.
Yeah.
So
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, gents. Well, anything else you want to put in as far as the draw system goes?
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't forget, if you don't get picked, get on some of these Alaska outdoor forums on Facebook and type about it.
Yeah,
February.
absolutely.
What is it? February.
What
Is it 15th?
It's the third Friday of February.
Make sure to look up hunting celebrities and see what they're going to be hunting this year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
See who got picked.
Yep. And make sure you text all your buddies first thing in the morning. Yep.
I always do that. I get into work first thing in the morning, and then I just refresh the page as I'm doing my thing in the morning. And then as soon as I pop it up, I'm looking up my name first and then everybody else's name.
Yep.
Just in order.
Yep.
And I just, I wonder if they got drawn. I wonder if they applied for anything.
I might try to beat you this year because I think I wake up earlier than you now. So
doesn't matter. It doesn't come out till like 8 o'clock.
Oh, is it really?
Mm-hmm.
I've
been the first one to know in my circle for a long time.
I was going to say the last 2 years, I haven't even checked myself. I just wake up to a text message from you saying, didn't get anything. Dang. All right.
Yeah. Suck it, James.
Wow. Yeah.
Suck it, Mariah.
Well,
I'm just going to say it in premonition of it. Suck
I
it,
haven't
guys.
put anything in for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
You haven't donated money yet?
I haven't.
Oh,
well,
man.
it's just like
Keep forgetting, don't you?
It's either I forget or it's
Yeah.
like, this is an expensive hunt I'm doing in a little bit.
Mhm.
I need to save some,
Yeah,
pinch my
right.
pennies.
I don't want to spend $300 on draw applications.
This year I'm gonna put in for some stuff for sure.
Oh yeah,
There
I always
you go.
I always put in my donation with no hope. And you know what? I'll say this just to wrap it up. You don't have to draw anything to have a great hunt in Alaska.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to.
Right.
Absolutely not.
There's plenty of registration permits out there. There's plenty of data out there for that. There's plenty of data about the over-the-counter harvest ticket stuff.
Oh, yeah.
To show you where you can go and what the harvest success rates are on that as well.
Yep.
On the Fish and Game website. You can get it done and have the hunt of 2 lifetimes on a registration permit or on a over-the-counter harvest ticket.
Absolutely.
So don't feel like you have to draw a hunt in Alaska to do exactly what you want, unless you only want to hunt an area, say like Kodiak.
Right.
Well, and
where you
maybe
have to
even
draw.
work that into your strategy. I mean, we don't have bonus points here, so you can't work that kind of strategy, but maybe you find a couple of draw tags you want to put in for.
Yeah.
And if you don't get those, then you're going to get that registration permit for this other area.
Mhm. Yep.
And if, let's say for whatever reason, emergency order, they close the registration, then you know where you're going to go for a harvest ticket.
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
just kind of tier it down to where you've always got a plan A, B, C, and D.
Yep. 2 is 1, 1 is none.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
have a backup plan for your backup plan.
2 is 1, 1 is none. Aim small, miss small.
Pick a hair.
We're building up catchphrases quick.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you all have good luck putting in for your draw tags this year and drawing
Just not the ones that I
hunts
put
of a
in for.
lifetime.
Yeah.
We are just wanted to put something out real quick just to remind you guys and give you a little bit of information. Look, again, as you can tell by listening to this, it's not a scary process. It's not overcomplicated. It's extremely simple here in
Mhm.
Alaska. So if you're
Yeah.
worried about it just being too much to handle,
Yeah.
just get into it, and within 30 minutes,
Mhm.
you'll have this thing figured out easy.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you like the show, by all means, please subscribe if you have not already. Share it with your friends, anybody you think might be into all of this Alaskan stuff we talk about here. Leave us a rating and a review. Goes, far and beyond with letting the algorithm put us in front of new listeners and new people that really need the information.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd like to support what we're doing and help us grow, we've got the northernhunter.com, our website. We've got a shop page there with some merch and a partners page with great companies that have given us discount codes that you can use to get some awesome gear at a discount. That helps these companies out. Some are big, some are small, and all of those help us out as well, and we really appreciate it.
Yep.
If you have any questions whatsoever, we're always happy to answer them. So hit that contact button on our website, or hit us up at either one of our socials on Facebook or Instagram by searching at The Northern Hunter, and we will get back to you as fast as we possibly can. May even feature your question in the future up. I think we're due for a Q&A one coming up. So, but anyway, guys, hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And until next time, get out there, get after it. And good luck. Be there.
All right, folks. We all know that one of the most common mishaps in hunting is damage to your rifle scope. Last year, I found the solution to that problem with the Stealthy Hunter rifle cover. It wraps around your scope and actions securely to protect it from getting knocked off of zero or even severely damaged. Stealthy Hunter also has a glassing pad and a wide variety of supplements for the outdoorsman, such as protein powder, CBD products, turmeric, and gut health supplements. They also make a lightweight trauma kit weighing in at just 14 ounces that includes everything you need and nothing you don't for all of your backcountry medical emergencies. To shop all of their equipment and supplements, go to StealthyHunter.com and enter the discount code at checkout, The Northern Hunter, to save on your order today. All Stealthy Hunter equipment is proudly made in the USA.